there is now a generate feedback suggestions. So what this does is when you are writing a give requested feedback response, meaning someone has asked you to provide feedback, you can now click a suggest response improvements to get AI powered.
Hello, friends. I'm Jeff Miller from ERPA, and you're listening to The Possibility Perspective, the show where we talk to strategic-minded Workday customers who partner with ERPA for a better Workday experience. Welcome to our webinar today. I'm Jeff Miller from ERPA, and thank you for joining us today for ERPA's webinar to review the top features for the Workday 2025 Release 2 update that is fast approaching. On the next slide, you're going to see the product statement. I think it's rebranded from what used to be called the Safe Harbor Statement. Here are the functional, cross-application, and technical areas that we're going to be reviewing for you today. We have a world-class team of Workday experts at ERPA, the best in the business. And now it's my privilege to turn it over to Jon. He's going to join me on camera. Hey, Jon, tell us a little bit about yourself and then take it over, Jon.
Yeah, hey everyone, Jon Milkovich. I am the Senior Director of our financials team here at ERPA. And I'm very happy to present the top features that we've identified for 2025 R2. Before we get into our first group, which is contract to cash, just want to call out what we've got going on these tables that you'll see with every section. So the first two columns there, after the features, there's an automatically available and a configuration required column that has a yes indicator if those are applicable. Next to that, we've indicated whether there's a change management impact with the feature. And then finally, whether there is a security impact that goes along with that feature. So be sure to take a look at those. Now, these are the top features that we've identified within the contract to cash area. So I'm not going to read through each of these, but we will go in to our top three features a little bit more in depth. So our first top feature within contract to cash is account receivables, account posting rule dimensions. So this is really great that Workday has added some additional fields that you can use within the receivables account posting rule. Those additional dimensions now include country, invoice adjustment reason, invoice type, and payment type. There is some setup required. Obviously, if you want to use these new fields in that posting rule, you would need to add them to the posting rule, but it's not going to impact your existing posting rule or configuration. But that is a great feature. Anytime Workday releases new fields that you can use in account posting rules, that's a win because it can potentially eliminate some manual workarounds. Our next feature is daily time and manage project billing transactions. So for our PSA customers out there, this one might be applicable to you if you're using daily time billing. So there's a new tab within the Manage Project Billing Transactions task that breaks out your daily time transactions. And this is automatically available. And it's a great feature, again, for those PSA customers that are utilizing daily time entry and daily time billing. The third feature we'd like to call out here is kind of a reporting feature, actually. And this is similar to additional fields that Workday has released in the past related to linking journal lines to supplier invoice lines, linking journal lines to expense report lines. Now they're enabling a field that you can add to your reports that links your journal lines to your revenue installments. So this is going to be a really helpful field when you're creating your reports and you want to quickly see the revenue installment that resulted from the journal line. All right, moving on to Procure to Pay. A number of features that we've highlighted here. Again, not going to go through all of these, but just take a quick moment for you to kind of skim through them. The first top feature that we're going to talk about is intelligent intake in procurement. And I think this is a pretty cool feature. We've been playing around with this a bit in our preview tenant. And it's a really great feature for customers that utilize procurement. It's introducing some AI capabilities so that you can ask, or your users, your requisition users, can ask questions within Workday using natural language, and Workday will bring up results based on the questions that they ask. So there is some setup required here. There are some new security domains. There's new tasks and reports that come along with that. Definitely a change management impact if you're going to roll this out. But it's a very cool feature, and I'd encourage you to look into this more if you're a customer that utilizes the procurement SKU. The next feature is questionnaires for requisitions worklet. So if you utilize questionnaires for your requisitions now, those are going to get called out within the requisitions worklet. Hopefully a lot of you are utilizing that requisitions worklet, which Workday introduced a couple years back now, I believe. But it's a much more streamlined experience for your users to create requisitions. Now they're adding the capability of viewing the questionnaires from a link directly in that requisitions worklet. So that's going to be a nice user experience for your requisition creators. Finally, the third feature, connect suppliers on issued purchase orders. So this enables you to connect suppliers that have been through mergers and acquisitions on issued purchase orders. So what this is there's a new tab within your supplier profile that you can call out additional suppliers for sending invoices within this table in your supplier profile. So again, this is going to be very helpful if you want to pay the appropriate supplier that has perhaps gone through a merger or acquisition. This will help you pay the correct supplier on that invoice rather than just the supplier from the purchase order. All right, moving on to record to report. Also a number of great features that Workday has rolled out here. The first top feature that I'm going to talk about here is bank routing codes for supplier invoices and miscellaneous payment requests. This one is very cool. So this will allow you to indicate which bank account you want to use to pay that supplier invoice or that miscellaneous payment request directly on the supplier invoice or miscellaneous payment requests. So there's definitely some configuration here. There's bank routing codes that need to be tied to bank routing rules. The configuration is fairly straightforward, but this is, I think this is a feature that a lot of customers have been asking for. And I'm glad to see that Workday is rolling out this functionality. The second top feature is multiple funding sources for procurement, commitment, and obligation ledgers. So Workday continues to improve multiple funding sources and now supports commitment and obligation ledgers, so you can reclassify procurement commitments and obligations to funding sources. So there is some minimal setup required here. It's just in the Edit Tenant Setup Financials task. There's a couple of new checkboxes there. But the key thing to keep in mind is when you enable this, it's not going to go back and create those commitments and obligations to the funding sources. It's just forward-looking only. So once you turn it on, it's just effective as of that moment and forward. But it's another great feature. And finally, the third feature, anytime Workday adds copy functionality to tasks, we got to call it out because I think copy functionality just can save so much time. So they now enable you to copy miscellaneous payment requests. Pretty straightforward. There's a new task, copy miscellaneous payment requests, and that's secured to an existing domain security policy or a couple of domain security policies. So it's definitely worth reviewing that access if you want to take a look at how users will be able to do that going forward. But I'm glad to see that Workday has given that ability. All right, next we're going to go into adaptive planning. So there are also a number of top features we've identified here. For the first top feature, Workday is rolling out the Workday Assistant in Adaptive. So if you're familiar with Workday Assistant within Workday, they're giving that same capability within Adaptive now. So it's a AI interface that enables users to interact with adaptive planning using natural language, includes contextual help, which provides a conversational interface to enable you to quickly access information from adaptive planning documentation. So there is some setup required here, but it is, definitely something to consider if you're familiar with that assistant that already exists within Workday. The second top feature is machine learning predictive forecaster. So Workday continues to enhance predictive forecasters by automatically filling out fields by default when you create and edit forecasts. Workday also now enables you to use ARIMA, which stands for Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average algorithm, and provide improved forecasts explanations throughout the feature impact chart. So there's no configuration or setup required with this, but it is just a nice improvement to the predictive forecaster. And finally, the last top feature for adaptive planning is collaborate within adaptive planning. So now Workday is introducing in-application chat capabilities on dashboards, user tagging, and expanded notifications. So this is really great to be able to collaborate directly within adaptive and reference data within adaptive so that you're all on the same page when reviewing the data within adaptive. All right, that wraps it up for me. I am going to go ahead and pass it to Alex Maidy to go over payroll features.
Thanks, Jon. Hi, everybody. Alex Maidy, Director of Payroll Absence, Time Tracking, and Scheduling here at ERPA. Excited to talk to you about the new features that we're going to be presenting with the latest Workday release. So we can go ahead and get started with our first section, which is going to be related to the newest payroll features. What you'll notice is that the vast majority of these items on this top features list, they are automatically available. The only one that does require any configuration is related to the salary over the cap, that second item there on the list. So most of these are not going to require any action on your part. So we'll go ahead and jump into the first feature that we've got here, which is effective dating of tax authority exceptions from pay component groups. This is a big new feature that will assist in any sort of calculations related to tax changes. And this allows you to effective date those tax authority exemptions from the pay component group. Whereas before, these were on the non-effective dated tab within a pay component, you now have the ability to indicate when the pay calculation will begin to include or exclude that from the calculation for a specific configured tax authority. Again, no setup is required. This should make it a lot easier to make adjustments when related to jurisdictions that have unique setups for those taxes. The second feature that we're going to take a look at here is current accounting for gross to net pay results. Workday is now enabling the ability to view all journal lines that impact the pay result in a single view. This includes any changes that were entered after the period was completed and processed. This removes a lot of that bulky manual multi-step processing that needed to be done in the past. This, again, no setup required, automatically configured, and it will be part of the new current accounting tab in the pay results, which is going to combine the way that you used to see it with a fresh look. Makes it a lot easier for both the payroll and the accounting teams to discern those results in one place. The third and final feature that we're going to be looking at here related to payroll is auto adjust of taxable wages that are over the wage limit. This one caveat on this is that this will only go back to January 1st of 2025 and will automatically adjust flat tax rate statutory taxes that had taxable wage limits when you calculate payroll. This makes sure that employees are not going to exceed the most recent taxable wage limit
removing a lot of those manual adjustments that need to take place. Again, no setup is required. And just to be considerate of what is going to be impacted here, you can see that on the screen, there's a list of the deduction codes that are directly impacted. Predominantly it is Social Security and federal and state unemployment, along with some disability insurances for different locations. So keep that in mind. This will make a big benefit for organizations that have a lot of manual adjustments needed for tax limits. So we can move on to our next section where we are going to be looking specifically at absence management. We have quite a few features that are coming into play. The biggest of which you may have heard about is that Workday is requiring all users with this update to reflect the absence calendar experience. This is something that ERPA is offering support, so we can assist in helping you get that configured. It is not a massive change. Visually, it does make it a lot more streamlined. There are some considerations you need to think about, and we're more than happy to assist with that. So we can jump into our first of these features that we're going to be talking about today. This is a nice one where they continue to enhance the ability to expire individual accruals within a time off plan. Now you are able to configure an automatic payout of unused expiring accruals using the time off forfeiture adjustment process. This does require some setup, and you cannot define the time off or forfeiture on a past dated plan. This would only be something that is going to work with a new effective date. But this will make it very easy to pay out accruals rather than just a bucket of hours within the balance period. The second feature that we're going to talk about is document generation support for absence business processes. This is actually something a lot of customers have been asking for. Workday adds the ability to generate document as an action step on absence business processes. Again, setup is required, but this will allow you to generate those documents directly off of the absence case event, buy time off, correct time off, request leave of absence, return leave of absence, and the selling of time off. So this will dynamically generate editable documents as part of this, so you can create a much more organic experience for both the administrator and the employee themselves. The third and final feature that we're going to be looking at here related to absence management is a default start and end time from work schedule for time offs and absence. So with a lot of enhancements Workday has put in place for Workday scheduling, you are now able to use these things more natively within absence, and in a moment we'll talk about it for time tracking. This again also requires setup, but this will allow automatic population of the start and end time on a time off request from a worker's work schedule. So if you are using work schedule for different employees with different sorts of eligibility rules, you can now leverage their schedule to directly feed into this. If you do not have that function in place, Workday will leave the start and end time empty. But this does streamline some of that population, making an easier user experience for you. Moving on from absence, we're going to move into time tracking. A lot of these time tracking features we're going to be looking at here are incorporating elements from scheduling and labor optimization, making for a much more nuanced and user-friendly approach to doing any of your time tracking related to worker schedules. There are a couple of hubs that are going to be available that you can see at the top of the list here. Enhancements to Manager's Insight Hub for time and scheduling, as well as the Time Management Hub. So those are also things that we can assist in configuring for you if you would like. We can go ahead and jump into the first feature here, which I think is a very cool one. It is displaying schedule data on the edit and approved time report. So if you are using a worker schedule, you have greater context for reviewing that information in one single report rather than having to leverage multiple. This will help with a lot of the back and forth that a lot of users are currently experiencing, where they have to look at a schedule versus what's actually on their time. This is automatically available, does not require any configuration, but it is going to give you a lot more visibility, as will this second feature that you're also going to see is heavily connected to the scheduling side of things. So the second feature that we're going to jump into and talk about is entering time by period. This is one that many users of Workday time tracking have seen. It used to be by week. It used to be by pay period. Now you can do it by the entire period in one user-friendly experience. So using the period calendar for time entry, it is going to have a lot more integrated help text and print functionality. It's just going to make it a lot easier for an employee, if they're looking at their timesheet, to feel comfortable with the content that is on there. This does require setup. You are going to also have to indicate when you're configuring the primary calendar that you want the period view only. Doesn't allow you to switch back and forth, but it is not as daunting as it sounds. It gives you a lot of really nice visibility when you're in there that way. So we can move on to our third and final feature that we're going to be talking about today, which is flexible check-in and check-out. This is allowing for custom thresholds around check-in and check-out where workers can adjust their time entry. This again also requires setup, and this only applies for check-in and check-out. It doesn't apply if workers are doing micro edits directly on their calendar. But this allows for those flexible check-ins. You can control and allow the employee a little bit more wiggle room instead of having it go back to an administrator, a timekeeper, or a manager to manipulate that data on behalf of the employees. So it is very user-friendly, really great experience. And I think a lot of these features are going to be beneficial across the board. And that does it for time tracking. And I can go ahead and pass this over to Khatherine to jump into all the great HCM features.
Thank you so much, Alex. Hi, everyone. My name is Khatherine Gaines. I'm the Senior Director of Workday HCM Data Conversion and Reporting at ERPA. And buckle up because I will be your presenter for a while as we cover HCM. And to start, I will be presenting our top people experience or PEX features for 2025 R2. And note our top people experience features here as we continue to cover the top three. Starting with feature number 1, this will be the translations section being available for knowledge management articles. And yes, Workday is replacing the existing way to have this translation available. There's easier for authors to manage translations by having it be a change that's automatic. However, you will still need to create new translations manually. This will be a user experience change. Top feature number 2, you can now generate help articles for healthcare plans with AI. Workday will enable you to draft help articles for these healthcare plans using artificial intelligence to help workers better understand their benefits. Setup is required. You are going to configure the Generate Benefit Plan Help Articles domain. This is an impact to user experience and interface as well as security. For top feature number 3 for people experience, there is now the option for self-service journeys user experience. And Workday now enhances the journeys experience by enabling new and existing journey users to engage in a self-service discovery experience for journeys. This feature is automatically available, and note as updates are happening, changes will occur automatically. This is going to be a user interface impact. Moving over to talent, please note our top talent features available here. And we are going to be moving over to talent feature number 1. With talent feature number 1, the give requested feedback, there is now a generate feedback suggestions. So what this does is when you are writing a give requested feedback response, meaning someone has asked you to provide feedback, whether it is on themselves or their employee, you can now click a suggest response improvements to get AI powered. Workday and the Google Vertex AI model will review the feedback question, the drafted feedback response, and offer clear reasons and examples to help you. It can rename your response, add more detail or context, and ensure your feedback is helpful and constructive. Note that you have to be opted into the HCM machine learning GA features and select and enable the generative AI for feedback suggestions in the maintain feedback setup. From a configuration consideration, this only applies to text-based questions within a feedback template or ad hoc feedback questions, and it is not possible to track Gen AI suggestions or review a worker's audit history. The impact for this is that this new feature helps you write more insightful and impactful feedback aligned with what we call SBI, which is Situation Behavior Impact Framework, and it improves communication and performance across your organization. Talent feature number 2, Skills Cloud. Workday delivered skills categories and skill category groups. With this release, Workday Skills Cloud delivers categories and groups to organize and easily report on the foundational Skills Cloud skills. In the Maintain Skill Categories and Maintain Skill Category Groups task, the Workday delivered skill categories and groups are initially delivered as inactive. This allows you to activate the categories and category groups that fit skill requirements. Workday also provides a deletion setting on the Maintain Skills and Experience Setup task to delete Workday delivered skill categories and skill category groups. Skills Cloud must be enabled in your tenant to have this feature. And you can access the Maintain Skill Categories and Maintain Skill Category Groups task to view and activate the Workday delivered skill categories and category groups that are relevant to your organization. Note that once a category or category group has been deleted, it is irreversible. So make sure that once you have that available, once again, irreversible. And then the impact here is that it features and promotes navigating and discovering skills to empower more strategic talent decisions, providing the insights needed to align your workforce with your business goals. Talent feature number 3, Flex Team support for contingent workers. Flex Teams, otherwise in the past known as gigs. Now, with this release, Workday extends access to Flex Teams to be able to include contingent workers. You can set up Workday to enable that as Flex Team workers and hosts, and to surface suggested Flex Teams to contingent workers in Opportunity Marketplace. Flex Teams must be configured first in the tenant, and you can choose how involved contingent workers can be with them, whether they can control things such as access, approve, deny invitations, and or host their own Flex Teams. When a contingent worker with Flex Team access opens Opportunity Marketplace for the first time, they can specify how much time they can contribute to Flex Team work. This functionality empowers contingent workers with more opportunities to contribute to your organization. Now we're going to move over to recruiting. A smaller set of top features here. And then as announced as part of 2024 R2, Workday planned to retire the My Job Application and My Job Applications reports during 2025 R2. So what that means is that the My Application report enables you to continue or delete application drafts, view or withdraw submitted applications, and also view inactive applications. Please make sure that you check on your profile groups and update it to include the new report. Recruiting top feature number 1, candidate availability for high volume recruiting. With this release, Workday delivers a comprehensive way for hiring teams to manage and assess candidate work availability, which streamlines the hiring process for high-volume roles. Setup is required for this feature. You are going to be creating templates that can either be manually assigned or defaulted during job requisition creation, and you could not collect availability from the candidate of an external job application. This enables you to configure a candidate's availability and display it on the candidate grid. Recruiting top feature number 2, My Conversations. Currently, only candidate conversational messaging for text message. So Workday delivers My Conversations, which is a new centralized location for a user's conversational notifications, accessible from the Workday global header. A conversational notification informs users about new replies in ongoing conversations tied to specific Workday applications. There is a new My Conversations icon next to the notifications and My Tasks icons, which provides direct access to conversational updates. Setup is required here. At this time, My Conversations supports only candidate conversational messaging for text message, and only users added to the new My Conversations domain will see the My Conversations icon. This will require some testing and possible updates to your training materials. Once again, it consolidates conversational notifications into a single intuitive interface. It streamlines the notification pages by moving the conversational notifications to My Conversations. It ensures that important conversations are not overlooked, leading to better user engagement with Workday. and it provides a clear foundation for integrating future communication channels, which offers a unified and adaptable notification system. Recruiting feature number 3, you can now post jobs to multiple agency types. So Workday enhances the recruiter experience so that the recruiter can now select one or more agency types when posting a job using the post job task. This is going to be automatically available. A recruiter currently has to pick one agency at a time when posting a job, and with this new configuration, the recruiter can pick by agency by type. This feature will save the recruiter time when posting to multiple agencies. Now we're going to be moving over to learning. Please note our top learning features here, and we will be discussing the top 3 next. Learning top feature number 1. Workday now delivers a new business process to track the completion of learning assignments and allow learning administrators to configure additional steps and notification after a learner or an extended enterprise learner completes assigned learning content. This is automatically available, but to ensure you have access to it, the tenant must be opted into machine learning, and Activity Stream for internal content needs to be enabled. Learning administrators have the flexibility to configure additional steps to occur, such as questionnaires, integrations, or reports to occur immediately after a learner completes their learning. This feature helps you surface the most valuable comments, quickly categorize feedback, and gain actionable insights to improve your learning content. Learning feature number 2, acknowledgement lesson types. Workday introduces a new acknowledgement lesson type, which enables learners and extended enterprise learners to acknowledge their understanding of learning content. This is automatically available. And from an impact perspective, now for any organizations with compliance considerations by providing records of learner understanding, we have that wonderful acknowledgement lesson type that enables reporting on those acknowledgement responses and courses with acknowledgements, and it really helps you provide those records to make sure that your learners have an understanding. Once again, this is a confirmation text for the text checkbox that learners will select to acknowledge the statement before completing the lesson. There are going to also be new report fields as a part of this new acknowledgement lesson type. Learning feature number 3, Engagement Builder. With this update, Workday enables you to assign optional or required content, as well as categorize and copy engagements. Workday also updates web service operations to support engagement reminders. There is setup required and new fields to consider, and updated EIB template versions. You want to update web service operations to version 44.2 or later to manage engagement reminders. This combines optional and required learning content in a single engagement, providing more flexibility in program design, and you can also gain greater control over engagement reminders using these web service operations. Now we are going to move over to core compensation. Please note our top features for core compensation. And let's move over to the top features. Top feature number 1, simultaneous compensation changes using multiple in-progress request compensation change processes. So Workday adds more simultaneous compensation change capabilities by enabling you to process simultaneous in-progress request compensation change events for the same worker. Setup is required. When you opt in, Workday disables the validation that blocks you from initiating a request comp change process when a request comp change process was already in progress. The tenant configuration disables validation on the request comp change for initiating actions only. All subsequent business process steps will honor normal business process policies. An enhanced alert displays when you initiate another request comp change for a worker that has an existing in-progress comp events. By enabling this feature, access the maintain functionality for staffing transaction task and filter by business process type for request comp change. Workday is simplifying the ad hoc pay adjustments for your workforce and streamlining compliance and regulations. Core compensation feature number 2, remove prior compensation for rehires. Workday enables you to rehire previously terminated workers without reassigning or displaying compensation from their previous employment in the proposed compensation hire step of the hire process. Setup is required. You are going to have to go to your Edit Tenant Setup HCM task and click the checkbox to remove prior compensation for rehires. If selected, Workday unassigns all compensation from a terminated worker's previous employment upon rehire and does not display their old compensation in the proposed compensation hires step of the hire process. This feature helps you treat rehired workers as new hires and meet compliance requirements for not viewing compensation values from a previous employment when determining future compensation. Core compensation top feature number 3, enhanced user interface for compensation sub-processes and business processes. Workday continues to have UI enhancements for multiple compensation change BPs. Setup is not required. This is automatically available. You're going to enable the enhanced user interface for unconsolidated proposed comp change process of the change job BP, unconsolidated proposed compensation hire sub-process of the hire, add additional job, and start international assignment BPs. There's also a request default compensation change standalone process and a sub-process of create position, edit headcount, edit hiring restrictions, edit position restrictions, headcount request, hiring restrictions, and termination. To opt out, you are going to want to access the maintain feature opt-ins report, search for the enhanced user interface for compensation processes, and select opt out of feature. Sign out of Workday and then sign in again to see the previous user interface. The enhanced user interface simplifies the compensation processes and reduces the likelihood of error, but remember, opt out if you need to. Then we have advanced compensation. Please note our top features for advanced compensation here before we move over to the top 3. Advanced compensation feature number 1, rule-based security groups for compensation review. Workday enables you to configure rule-based security groups to control whether security groups with heightened security can modify awards or planning for themselves. You can now configure rule-based security for compensation administrators and others with heightened security to control employee as self-access. Woo! Is setup required? Yes. Configuration considerations: a new domain process compensation review rule-based access is delivered that you can use to configure rule-based security groups. Rule-based security groups are now allowed to be tied to the new worker data compensation management by organization domain. And this enables greater control over compensation review security. Next is going to be our compensation data security enhancements. Workday is updating the security of sensitive worker compensation information when viewed in certain business process event details to prevent security groups, specifically those business process administrators, without access to that information from seeing it. This is automatically available. Updated security for all users, including BP administrators, for when they view these business process events in advanced compensation, such as employee bonus for bonus process and proposed stock grant. Security groups that can view compensation events will now view them without having access to those events' sensitive worker compensation data. And to view compensation data, security groups must have access to the domains that secure that data. This secures sensitive worker compensation information, and while this feature is automatically available, you may need to ensure desired security groups have access to these security domains so they can view worker comp information when viewing event details, such as the domains for worker data, comp management by organization, and worker data stock grants. Moving over to benefits. Please note our top features for benefits. We have a lighter one for this release. And our first feature here is going to be the HCM Admin Hub. So this is a new centralized space in Workday where you can easily access and manage setup and configuration for HCM products. It helps you quickly find the tasks and reports you need, discover new ones, and move smoothly between related tasks, all in one convenient location. Setup is not required, it's automatically available. The HCM Admin Hub will centralize configuration tasks for Workday benefits, making it easier to find, access, and navigate tasks and reports. This improves efficiency, reduces time spent searching, and enhances overall usability for administrators. Feature number 2, generate help articles for healthcare plans with AI. And then with this, we mentioned it over in people experience, but we felt like it was very important for you to also note this under benefits because of the healthcare plan implications. Note once again, this only generates content in English US, so you also have to have the Workday Help SKU to use this feature. Benefits feature number 3, new enrollment event coverage begin date option. Workday delivers the new coverage begin date option, first pay of pay period containing event date for your enrollment events. Setup is required. You are going to want to review cross-functional impacts with Payroll to confirm deductions are working as expected. This new option helps your organization align better benefit coverage begin dates with deduction begin dates that fall on the first day of the pay period containing the event date. Now we are going to move over to HCM Core. And please note the top features for HCM Core. HCM top feature number 1. Workday uses machine learning to help you identify similar job profiles while you create or edit a job profile. Setup is required here. You have to access Innovation Services and Data Selection Option task in the HCM category on the Available Services tab and opt into the HCM Machine Learning and Third-Party Connector service. Once you're on the Maintain Innovation Services Data Selection Opt-in tab, navigate to HCM/ML, Third-Party Connector Service, and then finally opt in for the checkbox of Talent Profile Data category. Workday will refresh the Does this job profile already exist panel with similar jobs as you fill out the fields such as job profile name, job profile summary, and job description. You can also access the new Maintain Find Similar Job Profiles task, which is secured to that setup job domain, to customize the criteria for returning similar job profiles. HCM feature number 2, Workday simplifies the hiring and management of your extended workforce by enabling contingent workers to have multiple jobs. Lots of love for contingent workers in this release. You can manage, schedule, and track time for multiple jobs for contingent workers, saving you time and effort while increasing workforce agility and adaptability. Setup is required. For customers using the Workday Vinly Workforce Connector, we recommend not uptaking this feature as this will cause data discrepancies and synchronization issues with multiple work orders in Vinly. For customers using Workday Recruiting, we do not support add job for contingent worker as an action on ready for hire business process. And for customers using Workday Procurement for contingent worker, it only supports a single position per contingent worker. This feature offers a consistent user experience for hiring and managing contingent workers, which will then reduce administrative effort and costs. It provides an accurate view of your contingent workforce, which improves resource management, headcount reporting, and operational efficiency. And lastly, the Workday feature number 3, which is once again the Workday Hubs user experience. With this release, Workday delivers new hubs for Worker HCM, and they also deliver new functionality and improvements to the existing Manager Insights Hub and System Admin Hub. And setup is required. You can add these hubs to Workday. Once again, your Security Admin Hub provides access to frequently used security administration tasks and report in one location. The Analytics and Reporting Hub provides a centralized location for report authors and administrators to access reporting-related tasks, reports, and processes. And the HCM Admin Hub, which is a centralized location for Workday HCM setup and configuration tasks. The delivery and improvements of these hubs continue to provide cohesive user experience for workers, students, managers, and administrators by enabling them to access relevant information, tasks, and reports in a consolidated and centralized location. If you have not been uptaking these hubs, please make sure that you are taking a look at the available reference articles or reach out to ERPA for assistance, as our customers have been loving these hubs. I have one more, analytics and reporting. So please note the analytics and reporting top features here. And our first one is going to be Trended Workers Data Source. Workday expands your trended worker reporting to now enable you to view data from up to the past 72 months. Setup is required. You're going to want to update the number of periods field on the configuration tab of the Maintain Trended Workers task. This update enables you to report on key workforce metrics trended over the last 72 months, which helps you with workforce planning. This update provides you with more data than the default, which is 36 months. Top feature number 2. This is the Analytics and Reporting Hub that we were referring to in HCM. It's that new workspace for report authors and administrators, and it includes worksheets, discovery boards, Prism, and Office Connect tasks. You can add the worklet for the hub to your global navigation menu, and it enables users to access it from their home page. Top feature number 3, waterfall chart in Report Writer. So Workday now supports the waterfall chart as a new visual option within Report Writer, enabling you to analyze the cumulative effect of sequential additions and subtractions of value. Setup is not required. Configuration considerations, you have to select your desired field for the horizontal axis from the available row groupings or column grouping. Select the single metric you wish to display from metrics to include, populate it from your fields to summarize, and optionally you can also display data labels and a legend for start, increase, decrease, and total. And you can ensure any drillable fields are configured in your report definition if you wish them to appear in tooltips. This is improved chart rendering and behavior. And finally now, I feel like sharing the mic over to Rishika, so I'll pass it over to her for integration.
Thank you, Khatherine. Hi everyone, I'm Rishika. I'm an integration consultant. I'm based in Austin. I have been working in the Workday ecosystem for about a year now. Today, I'll be walking you through some of the highlights from the 2025 Auto Integration release. This release brings in a few really powerful updates that are designed to make our integrations more seamless. Let's start with a quick look at the overall highlights. Here are some of the top features in integrations to highlight today. Each of these plays a key role in making Workday not just a core CM system, but also a connected platform that integrates seamlessly with external systems, whether it's payroll, finance, or real-time data movement. These features enable organizations to reduce manual work. It's also important to note that all of these features come with a security impact. Access must be tightly controlled. What's exciting here is that these features are practical, things like making external documents more accessible, connecting more securely with banks, and pulling data changes instantly when you need them. For today, I'll focus on 3 features. The first one is REST API for external payslips and tax documents. Traditionally, sharing payroll or tax documents meant manual exports and emails, which took time and carried risks. This new API automates the secure delivery of those documents to external systems like employee portals or third-party payroll providers. The big win here is efficiency. Employees get their documents faster and admins spend less time managing the processes. Workers can also view these external payroll documents directly in Workday through the My Payslips and My Tax Documents tasks, or right from the Pay Profile group in their worker profile. Next, let's talk about banking. Another key feature Workday has introduced is Positive Pay integration template under bank connectivity. For anyone not familiar, Positive Pay is a fraud prevention service that banks use. It essentially verifies checks against issued data, so the bank only clears items that match what you have sent them. What Workday has done here is give us a ready-made integration template. That means instead of every organization having to build a custom solution, you can implement this quickly, reduce your exposure to fraud, and maintain stronger trust with your banking partners. It's a simple but very powerful step towards securing financial transactions without the heavy lift of creating something from scratch. Finally, the last feature is the data changes on-demand REST API, which represents a shift from traditional scheduled integrations to a more real-time approach. Normally, integrations run in batches, for example, nightly or weekly. But that means downstream systems might not reflect the most current data until the next cycle. With the data changes on-demand REST API, Workday allows integrations to be triggered immediately when certain data changes occur. For example, if an employee's position, compensation, or tax status is updated, the change can be transmitted to external systems right away. This reduces latency and ensures that payroll providers, benefit administrators, or reporting systems are always aligned with the latest information. It also gives organizations more flexibility to design event-driven integrations instead of relying solely on schedules. Wrapping it up, these features really show how Workday integrations are evolving to meet today's business needs for automation, security, and efficiency. Each of these slides also has a detailed feature post link that takes you to the Workday community if you would like to dig in further after today. Thank you all for your time. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jeff.
Awesome. Fantastic stuff. Great material. Thank you to our experts, to Jon, to Alex, to Khatherine, and to Rishika, and to their teams for the work you put into this material. And thank you for joining our webinar. Really appreciate your time. Until then, have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Thanks for listening to The Possibility Perspective. If you'd like to talk to ERPA about what's next in your Workday journey, be sure to visit erpa.com.